Rose. Does everyone know Rose? Yeah? You're going to introduce yourself anyway. Like, not on safari in Harlesden, like she's a local celebrity. Yeah? Google Harlesden, she comes up. She's like there. She's the top. She is Harlesden. Yeah? Was that a good enough introduction? And her poem's going to be amazing. So can I have a little round of applause for Rose, please? Maybe a bigger one.
So not only do I not know my poems off by heart, but I have to wear glasses as well. And I was thinking, oh my God, what do you wear for a poetry gig? So I thought, okay, I'll just keep my festival wear on because I've just come back from number 6 festival. I've just driven down tonight, actually. I've just arrived at about an hour ago at Port Merion in Wales. So I've just driven down from North Wales. Not that I performed there, I was just hanging out there. Anyway, so, yeah, some of you know my book, but actually I do a few poems as well. And I've got a little poetry book that is my group, actually, and I got this little poetry book together last year. And one of my themes tonight is, so I go between Harlesden, and then I've got a relationship with somebody, a man, in North Wales. So I go to North Wales quite a lot. And then I go to see my mother in an old people's home in Yorkshire, where I'm from originally. So I find myself at an age where I'm having new sex in North Wales and then visiting my mum with Alzheimer's in Ilkley and then coming back to Harlesden for other events. So my poems reflect this kind of movement. So this first poem is not about sex, but it is about space. I'm sorry, that's coming, Suzanne. So the weird thing is about living in my little flat in Harlesden. It's not that little, but it's little-ish. And then I go to this fucking big farmhouse in North Wales that's got about, so one of the shocks of getting to, my boyfriend is called a Sangha because he's a sannyasin. I'll tell you about that later if you come and see me. Is that I opened his cupboards and it was just such a shock to me because there was space in his cupboards, and space is just an unknown thing to me in my cupboards. So I wrote this. And it's called The Meaning of Space. Inside are the rudimentary items. Local butter, Himalayan pink salt, tamari. No siege mentality, tins and jars. Luxury is limited to one packet of fig rolls. He's very frugal. His concept of capaciousness is alien. My symptoms are clear. Staccato intakes of breath, a feeling of mild nausea, light stabbing pains in the heart. Cupboard envy is the prognosis. I reflect briefly on emptiness. You. Oh dear, no sex in this one either. This is about my mum. So my mum has got Alzheimer's, but when people find out that your mum has Alzheimer's, they always say to you, does she still recognise you? And she does still recognise me. I mean, she hasn't got any short-term memory, but she's fine. But she was going through, last year, she was having a really bad time, and this is what happened on one of the occasions when I visited her. So it's called Surface because it's about the state that she's in because of her lack of memory, basically. And it's kind of tragi-comedy. Surface. Like a water boatman eternally in skate, she anguishes between drowned exits. They've evacuated everyone. I'm alone. Often she will pack all of the dark hours. That photo of her and Dad in Portugal shortly before his heart collapsed has been placed inside her underwear. A recently framed iPad-drawn artwork hides in her nightdress. Exquisitely tied up, evergreen wool ends curl like sea fronds. Her grandchildren are in a floral wash bag, protected by the locks of her suitcase. In the lounge, there is a meeting. 3 of them are plotting an escape by dinghy to the nearest nightclub. It's true. She was, they were, so sometimes they just meet up and plan escapes together. Hold on. This is another bit of a serious one, but in my book, one of the guys in my books is this guy called Suresh, and he's my local mechanic, and he is just one of the most gorgeous men in the community. He's just, a man of the community. So I have written this as a kind of eulogy to him because he died recently at the age of 58 and shockingly soon. So this is a bit serious, but it is to Suresh, and it's called Harlesden Funeral. Because it was a real privilege. Me and my son were invited to his funeral, and it was a real privilege to be there. It was in his house. It was just in his house, and it was just the boys and men who were invited to go to the actual burial. We, the women, were in the house. So this is to Suresh, and it's called Harlesden Funeral. Shoes make small collapsing heaps outside. I add to this unexpected collection. Inside, billowing waves of colourless saris fill the back of the open-plan lounge. The women keep up a high-pitched lament. Male family members circle the open casket. I find my way into the sea of voices, conspicuous in a pinstripe jacket. As gently as a lover on a warm afternoon, I drop the rose petals over him, glance at his newly sanctified face, remember the quiet of his kindness. How he had only a yes in his bones. How often he helped me for no recompense. How he smiled on the neighbourhood with such deeds. Coffin closed, he enters the hearse. Patel, loud in purple irises and red roses. His wife clings to the back window until let go Junction. Only men and boys are invited to face the burial. We, the women, gather in emptiness. And finally, I've written a poem that is a little bit about sex. I used to be really good at having very bad relationships with men. So they are called codependent relationships in that psychobabble world. So that's the sort of relationship that I used to have. But now I'm having a bit of a different one. And this is a kind of paean to that kind of relationship whilst acknowledging the other one. So it's called, and I stole this title from Russell Brand. Because if you're a poet, don't borrow, steal. That's the thing. So it's called Love is Like Finding a Secret Ballroom in My Head. All those years I'd been doing crazy asanas. The dancing was happening round the corner. My conscious relationship teacher did a lecture on holding the psychosexual boundaries. destroy his letters in a fire ritual. I'd always dived into Never Never Land with broken men, bits of rope and dirty dishes. To me, the terms were incomprehensible. I thought my writing should be on their walls. Moksha, or enlightenment, came through painstaking logic, a series of un-yoga-like forays into household chores. Like rebels in flagranti, we move our old limbs slowly. I haven't mentioned the chandeliers, and I'm not going to.